Okay. All right. I think we are recording. Yes, we're recording. Okay. So, hello, Caroline and Lisa. Thank you for joining us live. And I'm so excited to be able to do these because our unit, do you know that I took a look at our unit list? We're in 14 states. Isn't that crazy? It's awesome. So, I know that we do chat a lot on the phone and Voxer in our Facebook group, but I wanted to have the opportunity to be able to speak like this and just go over some of the basics that I think are so important for our business and things that I get lots of questions about. So I thought that I would start this series with booking. Booking is the lifeline of our business. I mean, if you don't have bookings, you're not in business unless you are somebody who has worked your business for a really long time and you're sort of taking a season of stepping back a little bit and servicing customers. You'll still have great reorders because we sell a consumable product and people are really good to us and they love our products and they keep buying them when we keep in touch with them. But if you want to get your business moving forward, it's always important to have bookings. And so the first thing I wanted to do is show you some of the resources that the company has at your fingertips. You already have your hands on these things, and then we'll just sort of elaborate on what some of my favorite things are. So if somebody listening to this recording is a new consultant, this magazine comes in the starter kit, and I was flipping through it, and there is so much information about booking. And so I would just say that the company really does a good job of helping a new consultant to feel equipped. So this magazine is a great resource, all right? Now, if you're sitting down and getting ready to do your bookings, there are a couple things that you are gonna need to have. Your phone, your date book, and I was so excited. I got my new date planner, a brand new fresh one, and I spilled water on it the other day. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I managed to only wrinkle the first couple pages because I put it out in the sun immediately. But anyway, I know I think it's a little hard to see on the camera because I'm looking at it and I can't see on the camera what I can see looking here. But what I've done is I have highlighted, and by the way, I'm already booking into, June because we're towards the end of May, got bookings in May, but now the new bookings that I'm making are mostly in June. So I have the entire month circled when I am available to hold appointments. And that way I'm completely prepared when I'm talking to somebody who wants to book an appointment with me and I'm ready to put them in my date planner. I always use pencil because you know what? Things reschedule and I don't want my date book to look like a mess. But and on one of the future calls coming up, we're going to talk about coaching and how to make sure that your appointments have a better chance of holding. Mary Kay used to say that an appointment that is worth booking is an appointment worth coaching. And coaching is a whole separate topic that we are going to get to on another call. But so you want your date planner. And the other thing that you need is your list of people that you're going to be calling. So if you're a new consultant, you got an email from me that had this thing in it that is called the Power Booking Plan. I love this thing, and I love it because it doesn't just work for a new consultant, but it also works for somebody who is established. Like I have a very established customer base, but some of the ideas for scripts that they have in here are fantastic, even for me, somebody who's been doing this 16 years. So with the Power Booking Plan, it talks a little bit about how to get set up and how to have a system of knowing who you're contacting, when you're contacting them, and what the action is, and then the next action. So I'm going to hold one up and I'm going to look at one down here. So it says the name of the person, their contact information, and then with part of this Power Booking Plan, there are four separate attempts that you make to reach out to people. So it would be day 1, day 4, day 7, day 11. So that's 4 attempts reaching somebody. And then the next action, if there's no booking and they haven't told you no, is to move them forward like 2 or 3 months. So this is really great because you're going to keep yourself organized all in one place. Now, I have my business. There's a lot of aspects to my business that I need organization on, but I have this whole entire notebook is dedicated to booking. So the reason why I love doing that is because there's a lot of times where I'm a full-time Mary Kay. I'm in the house a lot. And there are times when I like to leave the house, and maybe we have a clubhouse at our development with a nice pool. And sometimes I just like to be, out of the house, or I'll go to a coffee shop, or even if when my kids were little, sometimes I just needed to get in the car just so that there wouldn't be any background noise. But I was able to basically take my virtual office on the go. So this notebook is completely dedicated to booking. And then I have another folder that has my bookings in it. And when it comes time to coaching my appointments, I still can go right to my folder, and I have a sheet that tells me what the upcoming appointment is, who it is, who's the hostess, and all kinds of information about whether I've contacted her guest list and everything. So my booking and my coaching notebook is something that's completely separate from everything else, so it could just be a business on the go. The other thing that I have in my booking notebook are folders, which it's hard for me to hold this up right now, but here are some file folders that are attached to this notebook, and they have all the months of the year in it, because when I'm doing my 21-day booking challenge, like I just showed you with the multiple attempts, when I have somebody that I need to move forward a couple of months, I'm going to put their contact information and move it forward to the appropriate month. So like we're moving up to June now. Well, when we change the calendar over, I'm going to be flipping open to June and see all of the people who told me to contact them in a couple of months. And I'm going to add them right back into the system of doing the 4 attempts. So that has been really, really, really helpful for me. What I wanted to share with you about the multiple attempts is that I wanted to read you these statistics because I think this is really, really amazing. So 48% of sales consultants, not just in Mary Kay, but just across the board with sales, 48% of people who get a contact never follow up with the person. 25% make a second contact and then stop right there, especially if they don't get a response. And if they're inexperienced in sales, a lot of times what happens is they take that personally and assume that if somebody didn't reach back to them right away, then that means that they are saying no to what you're asking. And that is not the case. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. So 25% make a second contact and then stop. 12% make 3 contacts and then stop. 10% make more than 3 contacts. With that said, only 2% of sales are made on the first contact. 3% of sales are made on the second contact. 5% are made on the third. 10% are made on the fourth. And 80% are made on the 5th and beyond. So here's what the bottom line is. We're stopping way too short. We're making assumptions that people, if they're not getting right back to us, that means that they are not interested or that they're saying no. And the reality is if they didn't say no, then it's not a no. And I want to tell you that from 16 years of experience, I just pray that you'll push through it and that you follow a system like this, because just because they didn't respond to you doesn't mean that they're not interested. Now, Lisa's on the line and Caroline's on the line. I'm just going to point the 2 of you out, what I know about you. Okay, so Lisa's working a full-time job. Now, can you imagine, Lisa, if somebody texts you, you might be, you can just nod your head because I know you're on mute. You can just nod your head and say if you ever did this. So Lisa, somebody texts you about something and you're at work and you look at your phone and you say, oh yeah, okay, wait, I'm going to get back to her after work. And then after work happens and there's traffic or it rained and you went home and the next day you forgot to text her. She's nodding yes. And now if that person was your friend, she's probably just going to get back to you. But if it was somebody who was in sales and was thinking that they wanted to offer you something or ask you if you wanted to participate with them, They could make the assumption that you're not interested, but that's not the case. You just forgot. And you really intended to get back to that person. Okay, so that's Lisa. All right, now we have Caroline, who has 3 kids under the age of 5. Not if that's true. 3 kids under the age of 5. So the same thing could happen. Somebody reaches out to Caroline and she's like, oh yeah, I want to talk to that person. And then, I don't know, somebody lost a shoe, somebody threw up, somebody got a fever, you know, craziness, right? And I know because I talk to Caroline all the time, and I was a mom too, so I remember the days. I am a mom still, but they don't, you know, they don't need me for that much stuff. They're out of the house now. But yeah, can you imagine how many times that somebody could have reached out to me? And actually, I was working with a new consultant just over the weekend. On Saturday, I was talking to her, and we were having this conversation about booking and reaching out to people. And I was telling her this story about how people just don't respond because they get busy. It doesn't necessarily mean, now listen, sometimes it means that they're not interested, but we can't just assume that they're not interested. So as I was talking to this new consultant, I said, oh my gosh, I'm having this conversation with you, and realized that the person that I'm trying to book a hair appointment with got back to me yesterday and told me her availability, but I was in the middle of something and I totally forgot to get back to her. But I really want that hair appointment. In fact, by the time I text her back, I said, oh my gosh, yes, I want that slot. Hopefully you're still available during that time because I forgot to get back to you. So just remember that people are not ignoring you necessarily, all right? And that's why this system works, to reach out to them in several different ways. And I love the scripts, because the scripts really are designed to get a response from somebody and not keep you in limbo. I say that I would rather somebody say no to me, to what I'm offering, than to just be in limbo and not know what they're thinking, or to have them just blow me off. I'd rather them say no, because you know what? I do affirmations every day, and I know that I've told myself there's a million people out there who want what I have to offer. So if this one person doesn't want to, everybody's got skin, right? So there's so many other people who would say yes to what you're offering. The other thing that I want you to remember is that I wish that I remember the statistics. We are in a society now, and our technology has advanced to the point that we are bombarded with information to the max. It's like our brains are on overdrive. So people are getting input from Facebook and texting and email. And, you know, I remember when my kids they are 19 and 21 right now. I remember when I was forced to get a BlackBerry. Do you guys remember BlackBerries? I loved my BlackBerry. I love the little keyboard on it. I remember that I was forced to get basically a smartphone because the coach had a smartphone. And this was probably, how many years ago was that? It's at least 10 years ago, maybe more. And the coach got a BlackBerry or a smartphone and decided that if it was raining and practice was going to be canceled, he was just going to send out an email, and everybody should be able to get that email within 2 minutes. And I'm like, I'm not in front of my computer, right? But then I started to become a dinosaur because I was the only person seemingly who was like, you don't need to be in front of your computer. You need it right here. It's going to be pinging you in 2 seconds, and you need to have your smartphone available. So I feel like even from that time, we've gotten into the time where now information is so immediate that people expect an immediate response. And the reality is that our brains are like exploding. So again, if people are not responding to you, just remember, if they're not responding to you immediately, just remember that they are being bombarded in a million different ways. And so we just cannot take it as a sign that they are not interested in what we have to offer. Okay, so now I'm going to get to these scripts. And I love this. So on day 1, this system is really, really awesome because it has communication for new consultants. It has communication for seasoned consultants who are reaching out to their existing customers. And this is awesome because this one says, for instance, hey, Susie, how are you? I just got my new spring products in and I need a few people to give some feedback so I can determine what to stock. This is perfect right now for the charcoal mask, right? So for anybody who has an existing customer base, this would be the type of thing that you could reach out and be doing to people who are already established customers. So this system right here has something for everyone. The other thing that is on here is referrals. There's one on here for the Glow and Tell, the 21-day challenge. And then the bottom one is for lead boxes. So, or like today, I just set up a promotion. I'm so excited. I don't have the details firmly established yet, but I talked to the two business owners of a dress consignment boutique, but it's an upscale boutique in my neighborhood. I'm so excited about it. And I'm going to be going in and doing a promotion where I'm going to do something fun like the Kiss personality and get to meet people. So they'll be filling out a little slip. And so in that case, those will be people that I will be following up with afterwards, and I'm going to stick them right into this system. So what happens is day one, and then you're going to write down on your tracking sheet what the communication was and what the results were. Then for each different scenario, it's got a follow-up for day 4, assuming that you didn't hear back from them on day 1. Now, again, I'm thinking about my hairdresser who probably, if she had a 21-day system, she could have plugged me in, and if I forgot, you know, I did get back to her in 2 days, but if I forgot, she could have just said, hey, you know, do you still want that appointment? I would have said, oh my gosh, yes, I totally forgot. So she could have plugged me right in, and this really, really does work. So then you've got day 7, which is the 3rd time that you're reaching out to the same people if you haven't gotten a response yet. And then day 11. But here is the great thing about day 11. In the event that they are blowing you off or they don't want to hear, they don't want to do anything right at this time, it basically, you're saying to them in all of these scenarios, it's basically like a goodbye, hey, I'll talk to you soon in a couple months because I am going to reach back out to you. Like for instance, let me pick one. All right, so here's the one with the friends and family. So, hi Susie, it's Lisa with Mary Kay, trying one more time to reach you. If I don't hear back from you, I'm just going to assume you're super busy right now, and I will follow up in a few months. So, you know what's really cool about this, because this has happened to me so many times. I've done this with brides because I do a lot of bridal shows. And I will say, I'm going to, you know, pass it along to the next person if it's a lead, or I'll get back to you in a couple of months. This person is then thinking, oh my gosh, no, don't wait a couple of months. I wanted this right now. I see Caroline nodding her head because I know you've done this. And this is exactly what happens. They're expecting you to get back because you say in the scripts beforehand that you are going to get back to them. So they're like, oh, okay, whew, you know, I got so much on my plate right now. She's going to get back to me tomorrow. But now when you've gotten to the 4th one and you're saying, all right, see ya, you're not going to get to try the charcoal mask. I'll talk to you in a couple months. They're like, no, I want that. So a lot of times it ends up being the 4th contact that they are actually making the response. So that's all I'm going to go into. And I mean, I don't want to just read this to you because I know that Lisa, like, you're a new consultant, so you got this in an email from me, and all the other new consultants will get it, so you can read the scripts yourself. But I want to talk about what the next steps are. So when you get somebody that wants to book an appointment with you, the next thing that you want to do, and get my scripts out of the way here. The next thing that you want to do is be prepared to get that booking on the calendar. And this has been something that's been really, really helpful to me. I learned it from Mary Kay. In the beginning, I'm going to tell you, I didn't do this. I was just like, hey, when do you want to book? And it was crazy because I had 2 little kids. I needed to get a babysitter for this. And yet I was so just like, oh, I'll do it whenever because I want to just get as many bookings as possible. That was like suicide on the installment plan, okay? I mean, I was running around whenever the heck people wanted me to be available. That does not work. Not only that, but it doesn't really look very professional, because if you think about it, go back to my hairdresser. I reached out to her and I said, I really need my hair done soon. What have you got available in the next 2 weeks? And she said to me, and I said, I'm available in the daytime. And she said, how about Thursday at 10? She gave me a time, yes or no. And because I want my hair done, I'm like, you know it. I'm gonna write it down because I think she's professional. I want her to fit me into her schedule, but still I had a choice because I asked her for a daytime. So when somebody is gonna book with you, the best thing that you can do is to give them a choice of whether they want the, daytime or evening or weekend. So again, I know that it's really hard for you to see my calendar here, but there's a couple of night times that I'm available, and if they want daytime, I'm typically available on Saturdays is my best availability. Fridays or Saturdays during the day. So the first thing that I do is I ask them, would weeknight or would daytime or evening be better? So I'm giving them a choice. If they say evening, then I will say, okay, great. Beginning of the week or the end of the week, because I have some beginning of the week appointments and some end of the week appointments. So I don't give them the whole thing. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. I say beginning of the week or the end of the week. If they say beginning of the week, then I say, okay, how's Monday? So they are getting a choice, but I'm narrowing it down. Does that make sense? To give people an option. The other thing that happens when you do that is sometimes you're going to get somebody who says, oh yeah, I do want to have an appointment. And then you go to set it up and then it's like, okay, so when should we do it? And they're kind of, I don't know, they're all over the place. So when you give them the choice of daytime or evening, they're starting to click through their calendar in their head, and they're, people pretty much know what they do on a regular basis. So I bet if I were to ask you right now, what's your best availability, daytime or evening, you're going to start to know what those pockets in your calendar look like. So it really, really helps people to get that appointment narrowed down when you give them choices like that. Believe me, I've done it both ways. And I don't want you running around like a crazy person like I was. I was totally desperate for anybody to book with me, and I just was out there, and that ended quickly. And I was happy about it, and I didn't have any less appointments. Because you know what, if they wanted an appointment, they did get a choice, but it was within my availability, and that created a lot more sanity in my life. To this day, I do not like holding appointments on Sundays, and I don't like holding appointments on Saturday nights. Now, I know that there are people like Caroline does lots, right? She does a Power Saturday. We get to make our appointments when we want to, and I have not found that it has hindered my business in any way. They are still getting options. They're getting daytime options and they're getting evening options. They're just, for me, not getting Sundays and not getting Saturday nights. So everybody gets that option of when they want to have their appointment, but I still feel really in control of my bookings. And I want you to feel that way too. Okay. So the other thing that I want to talk about really quickly, and then I'll just open it up for some questions, and then in the next upcoming weeks, we'll talk about some of the other topics that sort of this leads into. I know that many consultants, including myself, I am trying to book group appointments. It is the best use of your time to have multiple people at one appointment than it is for you to be running around. Like if we say, hey, why don't you set a goal of having 30 faces in a month? It is better for you to have 6 appointments of 5 people than for you to have 30 individual appointments. Now, that's not to say I never will do an individual appointment, because a lot of times, I know I've talked to consultants about this. I have made really great relationships with people when I've been able to see them one-on-one, or it just ended up being one-on-one, and I just developed a great rapport with that person, and they bought from me for years to come. But for the most part, I really do love to have a group appointment. Now, what you're gonna possibly find is that if you have somebody who says, yes, I would love to have a bunch of people, so why don't I check with my friends first? Caroline, you know that happens, right? And Lisa's saying no, because you're saying, no, you're going to be in charge, right? You're going to be in charge. Okay, so this is what Mary Kay calls the tentative date booking approach. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to book that person. On this part of that booking packet that I was referring to in the beginning of our time together, this sheet is in here. It says when she says yes, and it goes through offering her the choice at that appointment time. And then here it says, you know, Susie, I can do one face just as easily as I can do 6. Can you think of some girlfriends who would like to join you? And at that point, she's going to tell you whether or not she would like to have friends join her. Obviously, you're going to offer her a fabulous hostess program that will make her want to have friends. But here's what I want to caution you about. First of all, I guarantee you that in this dialogue, and I would have to go back and read it all line by line, but I'm willing to bet my life on the fact that if I looked in there, none of that dialogue is going to say, hey, do you want to have a party? Because I'm going to tell you right now, if you asked me if I wanted to have a party, the answer was no. But I'll tell you what happened. I met somebody, I was a warm chat, imagine. She came up to me and handed me a sample and asked me for my opinion. This was when the Timewise skincare line was brand new. And she offered me a sample. She took my phone number. I tried it at home. She called me. I was so excited. I love the way that skincare felt. Then she offered to come to my home. We made an appointment. And then she said, you know, if you want a couple friends to join you, that would just be fun too. And I could do multiple faces just as much as I could do one. And I said, oh, wow, that's cool. Yeah. Oh, let me think. Carol's home during the day and Dawn's home during the day. So I ended up inviting a couple of my friends. But I guarantee you, if she asked me if I wanted to have a party, I would not want to have one. But I ended up gathering a couple of people because to me, it was just a different way of putting it. And what I say to consultants all the time is when we say to people, do you want to have a party? If they are not the type of person who likes to host, or if they don't want to feel the pressure of cleaning their home and they're thinking, oh my gosh, what am I going to cook? I'm going to have all these people. Because that mindset is the typical party plan business. Like if you have a jewelry party or any of the other direct sales companies, they thrive on you packing 20 people into a room. But truly, a Mary Kay party is 3 to 6 people, and they don't know that because we haven't explained that to them. So if we start with, would you want to have a party? Sometimes people are thinking, no way, and that's exactly what I thought. But because she transitioned me one step at a time, we accomplished what she was happy to have, and I was excited to have some friends over. So, but I would say no if she wanted me to have a party. So I'm just telling you that is not the way to approach it. So book her first, and then let her reach out to her friends. Now I'm going to tell you that one big objection that you might get, and by the way, this packet is awesome because it has a whole couple of pages of overcoming objections also, and it just reviews with you what some of those are. Just in terms of if she says to you, well, yeah, you know what, I think I would like to invite a couple of friends, but now I don't know if they'll be available. This is the best thing to say. Okay, look, let's say her name is Susie. Okay, Susie, you know what? We both decided that Saturday, June 3rd works for me and Saturday, June 3rd works for you. So why don't we pencil it in? And that way, when you reach out to your friends and ask them if they can come, at least if it works for everybody, you'll already be in my calendar. Because I book up really quickly. Now, let me tell you something. Your date book can be empty, and she does not need to know. But you're going to say, you know what? I book up really quickly, and I would hate for you to check with everybody on that date and then come back to me and I already have another party that day. So why don't we just put it in pencil? And I'm going to write TNT next to it. Tentative, but TNT also stands for dynamite. And we'll just agree this date can blow up. But I want to make sure that I have the time set for you so that if you decide that it works, we're going to be ready to go. How does that sound? And that's usually, those are the magical words. Okay. So I want you to feel confident about that, that you can do it. And that's just really what it comes down to with booking. But the last thing I'm going to say before I just offer this open to questions is in this packet, it also has a tracking sheet for if you're tracking your perfect start or your power start in a month to do 15 faces or 30 faces. But I also want to say that I think that your success in booking is going to be, you're going to have a greater success with the results that you get if you're using the dialogue. So that's one element to your success. But the other element to your success is that you have enough people to work with. So, you know, if you only had 3 people who you were going to call, and then you called those people and called me back and said no one is booking, well, okay, so those 3 didn't, but let's say that you were going to get 3 no's out of 10, but you only called 3, so you got your 3 no's up front, right? So I want just to make sure that you are working with enough volume of people so that you don't have frustration, okay? So that is everything that I have for this one, and we're gonna build on this. But I have a couple minutes for you to ask questions. Do you have anything?
I do. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Phone calling versus texting. What is your opinion?
Well, you know what? In the traditional, I noticed that in this packet that I have been sending out to new consultants, it just calls it a script, but it doesn't specify whether it is a phone call or a text. And I'm going to say that I do both because, and it also depends on what the booking lead is. If it's somebody who is a complete stranger, I like to call first because I want them to know I'm a real person and not like some kind of telemarketer or robot. Because, you know, do you get these automated text messages from like stores that you shop at? The other day I got this text message that said, it was clearly a wrong number because they were calling me Igor. But Igor, don't miss out on this job offer. I'm like, what job offer? Why are you calling me Igor? But I couldn't even believe that I never got an email or a phone call from this recruiting system hiring whoever HR that was reaching out to people, and they were just texting me. So, I mean, the technology is going that way, but I think it also depends, Caroline, on the age group that you're working with. Because if you're working with a millennial, they are not going to answer the phone. And if you're working with somebody who is, you know, 40 plus, well, I would say 40, let's say 35 to 55, it could go either way, whether they would prefer a text or a phone call. But if they're 55, I bet they prefer phone call. But it's not that they won't answer a text, it's just a matter of preference, and I think it has to do with their age. So I would say do a combination of both, and then when people start dialoguing with you, I would ask, do you prefer that I continue to reach out to you via text, or would you want me to call you? And I breezed through these. Oh yeah, look at this. So this is script 1, day 1 for a lead box, and on this at the bottom, it says text, and it says my studio is called, are you okay with just texting, or would you prefer that I call you to set up the appointment? So this is asking the person what their preference is. So good question. Anything else? Okie doke. Well, thank you for being on, and make your booking list. Start with your list, get your phone, get your calendar, and you know what, call people. Lisa, you're new, so I know you're still working through your list of new people, and Caroline, you're seasoned, and but I know that there are, like you, I have people in my customer base who've been buying for me for years and years and years, and it is time for me to cycle back with them and ask them to hold an appointment with me. And actually, I'm going back to New Jersey at the end of June, and I have an appointment with somebody who wants to try new products, and she was my customer. I probably met her for the first time like 10 years ago. So it was so exciting to reach out to people and say, hey, I haven't seen you in a while. I'm going back to New Jersey. You want to see me? And she said, yes. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is fun. You know, so definitely, even if you have an established customer base and not necessarily new people to reach out to those people who are good customers. Yes.
Awesome.
Okay. Have a great night.
Bye.
Bye.